You got the promotion. The salary went from $65,000 to $85,000. You remember doing the math in your head during the offer call. That's an extra $20,000 a year, over $1,600 more every single month. You are going to finally start building that emergency fund, max out your 401k, maybe even start investing in a taxable brokerage account. But here's what actually happened. 6 months later, you're sitting at your kitchen table at 11 p.m., staring at your bank account, and you have less money saved than you did before the raise. In fact, you might even have more credit card debt. How is that possible? My name is Prime, and I spend way too much time thinking about why people who make more money often end up broker than they were before. If you're someone who's gotten a raise or a promotion in the last few years and somehow feel like you're not getting ahead financially, or worse, you're actually falling behind, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because what I'm about to show you is something that financial advisors don't really talk about, something that personal finance gurus gloss over, and something that's probably costing you tens of thousands of dollars a year without you even realizing it. Here's the thing. We have this deeply ingrained belief that making more money solves money problems. It's so obvious, right? More income equals more wealth. Except it doesn't, not automatically. And the data on this is actually kind of shocking. A study from the Federal Reserve found that nearly 40% of Americans making over $100,000 a year are living paycheck to paycheck. Let me say that again. $100,000 a year, and they can't cover an unexpected $400 expense without going into debt or selling something. Now you might be thinking, well, those people just live in expensive cities like New York or San Francisco. And look, yes, cost of living matters, but here's what most people don't realize. This phenomenon happens at every income level, in every city, in every demographic. I call it the invisible income trap. And if you don't understand how it works, you will spend your entire career making more money and never actually building wealth. Let's go back to that $20,000 raise I mentioned at the beginning. On paper, it sounds life-changing. But here's where it gets really interesting. Here's what actually happens to that money. First, taxes. That $20,000 raise, if you're single and you were already making $65,000, you're likely in the 22% federal tax bracket, plus let's say 5% state tax, plus 7.65% for FICA taxes. We're talking about 34.65% of that raise disappearing before you even see it. So that $20,000 becomes $13,070 in your actual paycheck. Still significant, right? That's about $1,089 extra per month. But then something else happens. Something invisible. Something psychological. You think to yourself, I make $85,000 now. I can afford a nicer apartment. So you move from a $1,400 a month place to an $1,800 a month place. That's $400 gone right there. You think, I deserve a reliable car. I'm a professional now. So you, instead of keeping your paid-off Honda, you finance a $35,000 car at 6% interest over 5 years. That's $676 per month. But you justify it because you were going to buy a car eventually anyway. You think, I should dress the part, so you upgrade your wardrobe. Maybe you're spending an extra $150 a month on clothes now instead of $50. There's another $100. You think, I work hard. I should be able to enjoy my life. So you start saying yes to things you used to say no to. That nice restaurant your friends want to try? Sure. That weekend trip? Why not? That $15 craft cocktail instead of a $6 beer? You make $85,000 a year now. Another $200 to $300. Easy. Let's add this up. Nicer apartment, $400 a month. Car payment, $676 a month. Clothes, $100 a month. Lifestyle inflation, $250 a month. That's $1,426. Remember, after taxes, your raise only gave you $1,089 per month. You're now spending $337 more per month than your raise actually gave you. That's $4,044 a year. You got a $20,000 raise and ended up $4,000 broker. And here's the truly frustrating part. You don't even notice it happening because none of these decisions feel extravagant in the moment. They all feel reasonable. They all feel like things you deserve or need. That's the invisible income trap. Look, I'm not here to tell you that you should live like a broke college student forever. That's not the point. The point is understanding the psychological mechanisms that make this trap so effective. There's this concept in behavioral economics called the hedonic adaptation, or the hedonic treadmill. Basically, humans are incredibly good at adapting to new circumstances and returning to a baseline level of happiness. You get the raise, you feel great for a few weeks, maybe a couple months, and then that becomes your new normal. The happiness fades, but the expenses remain. But there's something even more insidious happening here. It's called reference group adjustment. When you made $65,000, your reference group, the people you compared yourself to, were probably people making $50,000 to $70,000. You went to the same restaurants, lived in similar apartments, drove similar cars. But the moment you start making $85,000, something shifts in your brain. You start comparing yourself to people making $75,000 to $100,000, and suddenly your old lifestyle feels inadequate. This isn't about keeping up with the Joneses in the traditional sense. It's way more subtle than that. It's about how you perceive what's normal or appropriate for someone at your income level. A study from economists at the University of Warwick found that people's spending patterns align more closely with their peer group spending patterns than with their own financial goals. Read that again. Your spending has more to do with what people around you spend than what you actually want to accomplish with your money. Here's what most people don't realize. The invisible income trap doesn't hit all at once. It comes in 3 distinct waves, and each one is more dangerous than the last. Wave 1, the immediate upgrade. This happens in the first 3 to 6 months after the raise. This is the car, the apartment, the wardrobe, the big visible changes. Most people see these coming. You might even budget for them. Poorly, but still. Wave 2, the subscription creep. This happens around months 6 to 12. This is when you stop paying attention to the small recurring charges. You upgrade to premium Spotify. You add HBO to your streaming services. You get the unlimited data plan. You join that gym that's $20 more a month but has a sauna. Individually, each decision is $10 to $30. But you make 15 of these decisions, and suddenly you're spending an extra $200 to $300 per month on things you barely notice. Wave 3, the expectation reset. This is the most dangerous wave, and it typically hits after a year. This is when your old splurges become your new baseline. The $60 dinner that used to be a special occasion, that's now your standard Friday night. The $150 brunch on Sundays, that's just what you do. The $200 you spend on a whim at Target because you deserve it, that's not even remarkable anymore. By the time Wave 3 hits, you're not even making conscious decisions anymore. Your new, higher spending pattern has become automatic. It's just how you live. And here's the really cruel part. Once you're in Wave 3, you can't see a way out without feeling like you're taking a step backward. Going back to your old lifestyle feels like failure, like deprivation, like you're somehow losing. But you haven't gained anything. You're just running faster on the treadmill. Let's run some real numbers here, because I want you to see exactly what this costs you over time. Let's say you fall into the invisible income trap with that $20,000 raise. You end up spending an extra $337 more per month than your raise actually gave you. So not only do you not save the extra income, but you actually dip into your existing money. Over 10 years, if you had invested just half of that after-tax raise, let's say $500 per month, in a simple S&P 500 index fund averaging 10% annual returns, you'd have approximately $102,000. But instead, you not only didn't save that money, you went $337 in the hole every month. If that went on a credit card at 20% interest, you'd accumulate $40,400 in debt over those same 10 years, while paying $25,000 in interest. So the difference between making the right choice and falling into the invisible income trap isn't just $102,000 in missed savings. It's $102,000 in missed savings plus $40,000 in debt plus $25,000 in interest paid. That's a $167,000 swing in your net worth from one $20,000 raise. Now imagine you get 3 to 4 raises over your career and you fall into this trap every single time. We're talking about a 7-figure difference in lifetime wealth. That's the difference between retiring at 55 and working until you're 70. That's the difference between financial independence and financial anxiety. That's the real cost of the invisible income trap. Okay, so how do you actually avoid this? Because look, I'm not going to tell you to live like a monk forever. That's not sustainable, and honestly, that's not the point. The point is being intentional about your financial choices instead of letting lifestyle inflation happen automatically. Here's the strategy that actually works. Step 1, the 50-30-20 rule for raises. When you get a raise, before you do anything else, decide how you're going to allocate it. 50% goes to savings and investments. 30% goes to debt payoff or additional financial goals. 20% goes to lifestyle improvement. With our $20,000 raise example, after taxes, that's $13,070 per year, or $1,089 per month. So, $544 per month to investments, $327 per month to debt or financial goals, $218 per month to improve your lifestyle. Is $218 going to radically change your life? No, but it does let you make small intentional upgrades that actually matter to you without falling into the trap. Step 2, the pre-commitment strategy. Here's where it gets really interesting. Set up automatic transfers for that 50% the day your raise takes effect. I mean it, the same day. Before you see that money in your checking account, before you get used to it being there, it's already gone into your investment accounts. Why? Because of a principle in behavioral economics called mental accounting. Money you never see doesn't feel like your money. You won't miss it because you never incorporated it into your spending patterns. Step 3, the 1/4 spending audit. Every 3 months, sit down for 30 minutes and look at every subscription, every recurring charge, every regular expense you have. Ask yourself, am I actively using this? Does this genuinely improve my life? Or did I just stop noticing the charge? Cancel ruthlessly. I'm not joking, I do this every quarter, and I usually find $50 to $100 in zombie subscriptions that I forgot about or stopped using. Step 4, the future self conversation. This is going to sound a little woo-woo, but stay with me because it works. Before you make any purchase over $100, pause and have a conversation with your future self. Ask, how will I feel about this purchase in 6 months? Will I still be using it? Will I even remember buying it? Or will it be another thing collecting dust while I stress about money? Research from UCLA shows that people who mentally connect with their future selves make significantly better financial decisions. It's about breaking the disconnect between the person who spends the money and the person who lives with the consequences. But here's what you really need to understand. Escaping the invisible income trap isn't ultimately about the tactics. It's about a fundamental mindset shift. Most people think, I'll be happy when I make more money. But the research shows the opposite. A Princeton study found that happiness increases with income only up to about $75,000 per year. Adjusted for inflation, that's closer to $90,000 today. After that point, additional income has almost no effect on day-to-day happiness. You know what does affect happiness? Financial security, having savings, not being stressed about money, knowing you could handle an emergency without your life falling apart. The irony is that the very thing people think will make them happy, more money to spend, is the exact thing that prevents them from getting what would actually make them happy, financial security. Every time you choose to save that raise instead of spending it, you're not depriving yourself. You're buying your future self freedom, options, and peace of mind. You're buying the ability to take risks, change careers, start a business, retire early, or just sleep better at night knowing you're going to be okay. That's not deprivation. That's the best investment you'll ever make. Look, I get it. This is hard. We live in a culture that constantly tells you that you deserve to treat yourself, that you should enjoy your money now, that you work hard so you should play hard. And yeah, you do deserve to enjoy your life. But here's the thing. The invisible income trap doesn't lead to enjoyment. It leads to stress, anxiety, and being trapped in a job you might hate because you can't afford to leave it. Real enjoyment, real freedom, comes from making intentional choices about your money. It comes from knowing that your financial future is secure so you can actually relax and enjoy the present. The next time you get a raise, a bonus, or any increase in income, remember, that money is a tool. You can use it to buy temporary pleasure and permanent anxiety, or you can use it to build permanent security and real peace of mind. The choice is yours, but now you know what you're choosing between. If this video helped you see your finances differently, do me a favor and share it with someone who needs to hear this. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that button because I make videos like this every week to help you think differently about money. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.